Well, what's going on, Gideon's Tactical family? Thanks for joining me today on another blade review. And we're talking today particularly about a very anticipated, I believe, model that Benchmade has released in 2021, and that's the Mini Adamas. Well, guys, I've had quite a bit of time with this blade, thumped on it, beat on it, and today I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should say no to picking up this pocket knife, but also the one and only reason I feel you would want this knife. So let's go ahead and head on over to the shed and see why or why not you might want this knife riding in your pocket. All right, folks, let's go ahead and jump into the 3 reasons why you may say no to the Mini Adamas. Now, the Adamas design has been around for a very long time. It's very iconic for overbuilt, heavy-duty, extra-large folders, and they've done that for many years. And they also have their fixed blade version being very thick, robust, and heavy, and reliably strong. And so with this Mini, the idea was just let's shrink it down so it's more EDC or everyday carry friendly. And the first reason that I think that you may say no to this is the thickness. I think this is too thick, both in handle as well as in spine, to really be an EDC knife. It's really thick and beefy, which is a good thing when you want to hold it for extended periods of time out in the outdoors and using it, you know, fills out the hand well, but it's going to take up a lot of real estate in your pocket, more so than a lot of other EDC size folders that are out there, as well as the spine being 0.14 inches thick, making it very robust. But at 3¼ inches, there are so many other folders on the market, not only from Benchmade, but other brands out there that are going to be able to slice and carve and do more EDC style designs easier. It's just going to have better edge geometry. It's going to be able to open packaging a little bit easier. I even found that the edge geometry on this model was not quite to my liking, and I was able to reprofile it very easily, and we'll speak to the steel here in a little while. That's something that I noticed out of the gate. It seems pretty beefy, pretty thick, not only in spine and thickness of the blade, which means that it's somewhat limiting in EDC tasks. For hard use, beefy stuff, which is what it was originally designed for in the full size, totally makes sense. In this size, a thinner stocked blade and a little bit thinner handle, I think would have made a big difference. So number one, why you might want to say no is that it's a little too thick on the spine and in the handle. And that'll lead us right into the second reason on why you might say no to the Mini Adamas is I think it's too small. Going back to its original design and being this overbuilt, robust folder, now being shrunk down. In some aspects, I believe they shrunk it down too much. Point in example, here's the full-size Griptilian, an EDC folder, almost unlike any other. I mean, it is a staple in many, many people's collections and knife design that many people try to emulate. But you can see that the blade is just slightly shorter than on the Griptilian, and the handle is also shorter, making it for just less capability with that shorter blade. And because of how thick the blade is, it's kind of limiting. It's kind of like this overbuilt knife that's kind of too small. And then the handle with this hook here being, I can't remember, I believe it's about almost 1/4 inch shorter than on the Griptilian, and the way that the hook is, it barely fits in my large size hands right there. And it actually took me a day or two to kind of get used to it. I was actually going to bang and disc the handles even worse, but I kind of got used to the grip, but that is about it. And when I put on my work gloves, it becomes too small. That bird beak starts going right onto my pinky. I can feel the pressure there the whole time while I'm using it. I can still manipulate it, which is a good thing, with leather gloves on. But if you do any sort of heavier work, which this is capable of doing, you're gonna find, if you have, I would argue, large or bigger hands, it difficult and not very enjoyable to use. So I believe once they decided to shrink it down, they brought it just like 1/4 inch on either side, a little too small. So third reason why you may say no to the Mini Adamas is the price. This guy comes in at about $212 on average, and that's a lot of money. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that has maybe been blended into the CPM Crewwear steel here in just a moment, and I'll go through a few other details. But at $212, that's a lot of money to think about, and you can get the full-size version for about $232. So what? $20 more, and I can get the full-size original design with more blade length, bigger handle, and just more real estate to work with and a lot more capability for not that much more money. And then I know that they are coming out with at least the auto in the full-size. They may do it in the mini as well, and on the full-size, it's $308. That is a lot of money for a pocket knife that you really have to think about. And so for me, if this was more like around $180, I could see a lot more people thinking about, oh, you know what, I might go with the mini. But at that price of being so close to the full size, I think most people, including myself, it would make more sense to gravitate to the large for like 20 bucks more. And guys, throughout this video, I am going to have a bunch of hyperlinks below. I do appreciate when you use those hyperlinks, regardless if it's for this design, the full size, or some other model or gear in general. We have all kinds of different options for you, from Blade HQ to GP Knives, Smoky Mountain Knife Works, Amazon. We have LA Police Gear with the 12% off discount. They carry a lot of blades over there, as well as other equipment that you can go check out. So those are all in the description box below, and we do appreciate when you use those hyperlinks that we offer to you in each video. All right, folks, so in just a moment, I'm going to give you the one reason why you may say yes to this mini Adamas. But I want to hit a couple details with you first. First being this new blade steel, this CPM crew wear steel. It's basically like a huge upgrade over D2, but has similar properties to D2. I'm not a knife snob, I'm a user. And so I always look for what is the edge retention, what is the resharpening capability, and toughness and durability. And I got to say, first off, toughness and durability. I beat on this, thumped on it, batoned with it. That speaks not only to the steel, but also to the axis lock. It's very robust, it's good, it's solid, good stop bar, all those things, running on bronze bushings, and then the steel holding up to hitting it, you know, on the back spine, carving, cutting, all sorts of different material. I was really happy with that level of performance. I know it has a very high Rockwell, I think 63 to 64. So in that regard, it may mean that it's like a bear to resharpen and just sucks to resharpen. But as I said a little earlier, the wide grind angle on the bevel that I wasn't super happy with out of the box, I was able to bring up the shoulder ever so slightly and tune up in like under 5 minutes with my WorkSharp field sharpener, which is very impressive. So I'm very happy with that steel. I think you will be too, not only as a field steel to be able to resharpen in the field, but also for edge retention and wear resistance. I think it's holding up very well in that regard as well. And it will still be able to do a lot of, you know, EDC tasks without too much difficulty. Went through plenty of stuff, but just to kind of reiterate, the slightly thinner stock on the Griptilian will be able to perform a lot better. It will just be a finer cutter, be able to do food prep and go through packaging and those type of things easier, just because it's a thinner stock, which obviously doesn't means that it has the potential to not be as strong and tough, but for everyday carry tasks, I look for a thinner, slicier blade than in preference to a big, thick blade. Now, though this is pretty thick and it's still got a pretty beefy handle in thickness, the weight is something that I was pretty impressed with. This does come in at under 5 ounces, which is an impressive weight class for full stainless steel liners, G10 handles, and this thicker stocked blade. Usually you can easily get into the 5 or even 6 ounce range. So this is light in comparison to a lot of other kind of overbuilt folders out there. So that is a big positive. Something else I want to touch on is this loop over deep ride pocket clip. Now, usually for everyday carry, I would be totally down with that. I actually really like this pocket clip in general, and I've put it on many of my other Benchmades over the years just to give me that deeper ride. But in the style and design of this model, I actually would prefer what comes standard, say, on the Griptilian here, to give it a little bit of a higher ride. Because what I found was when I did carry this, it was when I was hiking, it was when I was doing all sorts of work in the backyard, it was when I was preparing to do heavier, harder tasks. A lot of times I either had gloves on or I just was working, and it was in and out of my pocket quite a bit, and I kind of had to fish it out, and having it ride a little bit higher would have helped make it just a little bit easier, better pinch point to pull out quicker than with this loop over deep ride pocket clip. And I know that's probably my and many other people in the knife industry's fault for always like loop over deep ride, and that is true for most EDC knives. But because of the way that this is designed still as this small but very overbuilt knife, you tend to want to use it in heavier, harder tasked environments, oftentimes with gloves or in and out a lot, and therefore fishing it out isn't quite as enjoyable as, say, when you take something to the office regularly and maybe you only pull it out once or twice a day, and you would rather compromise quickness of deployment for a deep ride, lower carry in your pocket. Now, the nice thing is Benchmade will swap you out if you just request different styles of pocket clips. They can send that over to you. So if that is something that you want to do, that is something very easy to do. All right, folks, so with that, what's the one reason why you may say yes to the mini Adamas? Basically, in my opinion, it's for legal reasons. You need and or desire a big, thick, heavy, overbuilt blade, but blade length limitations in maybe your country or state prohibit you from regularly carrying something over, say, 3.5 inches. Therefore, this makes sense. For those type of people, you want the thickness, you want the heavy build, you want the thick handle, you want all of those things, but the blade length of the full size just doesn't allow you to be able to carry it regularly, then that is the person that I believe this is a yes for, and that this does make sense. And I mean, the fit and finish is there. The steel absolutely works and is really good and a great upgrade. As long as you don't wear gloves, the handle for probably most people will be just fine. And you are going to get a very, very tough knife in this compact package. So for certain people that basically need the smaller blade length, but you want them overbuilt, it'll work. For everybody else, I would just say go with the full size. It would just make sense to stick with the full size model the way it was intended to be built. So guys, that's my take on the mini Adamas. I want to hear your thoughts. Did I totally miss it? Are you right on board with me? I always love hearing the comments and discussion, agreements and disagreements that we here in the blade community always have, and it's always fun. So I look forward to reading all those. I invite you to subscribe if you're not yet a subscriber. We throw content up like this all the time here at the channel. I invite you to check out the other video popping up. Check us out on social media as well. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.